Strong mind, strong life. Ladies and gentlemen, I've always believed that the quality of our lives is not determined by what we do, but by how we think, and that's what I want to talk about today. Strong mind, strong life. We live in a world that glorifies hustle, celebrates busyness, and tells us that success comes to those who never stop moving. But here's the truth. Motion doesn't equal meaning. If we want a meaningful life, one that we're proud of, one that's resilient, we have to start here. Points to head. Our mind is our foundation. And like any foundation, if it's weak, everything we build on it, our careers, our relationships, our goals, eventually crumbles. We often chase the idea that if we do enough, if we hustle harder, check enough boxes, and hit every milestone, we'll eventually arrive at a life that feels fulfilling. We think that if we just land the job, earn the degree, close the deal, or get that promotion, peace and purpose will automatically follow. But in truth, the quality of our life isn't determined by our achievements. It's shaped by the way we think. Everything, our work, our relationships, our habits, our happiness, flows from the strength of our mindset. The mind isn't just part of the equation, it is the foundation upon which everything else stands. When the foundation is weak, it doesn't matter how impressive the structure is. It could be $1 million house, but if it's built on shaky ground, the first storm will bring it down. The same is true for us. When our thinking is fragile, when our self-belief is shaky, when our focus is driven by fear or comparison, then no amount of success will feel secure. We'll live in constant fear of it all falling apart, because deep down, we know it's not built on something solid. When our mindset is strong, when we're grounded in clarity, self-awareness, and inner resilience, then everything we build on top of that has a real chance to last. A strong mind gives us the ability to see beyond the chaos, to think strategically when others are reacting emotionally, and to find opportunity in the face of adversity. It becomes the anchor that holds us steady when life tries to throw us off course. The people we admire most in life, those who lead with conviction, who remain calm under pressure, who inspire others by their presence, aren't just lucky or gifted. They've done the inner work, they've trained their minds to be strong, focused, and purposeful. They've learned how to regulate their thoughts, manage their emotions, and stay centered when the world feels off balance. That kind of mindset isn't accidental. It's built intentionally. We often talk about success as if it's something out there to be found, but in reality it starts within. A strong mind doesn't guarantee that life will be easy. In fact, it almost ensures you'll face bigger challenges, because a strong mind doesn't settle. It pushes you to grow, to stretch, to take risks. But what it does guarantee is that no matter what happens externally, you'll have the internal tools to navigate it with grace and strength. This isn't about positive thinking or pretending everything's fine. A strong mind isn't naive. It's not about ignoring problems or putting on a brave face. It's about having the depth to confront reality, the discipline to choose your response, and the perspective to see the bigger picture even in the smallest moment. It's about being rooted in who you are, not shaken by every change in circumstance. The truth is, life will test all of us. There's no avoiding that. Question is, will you be prepared when it does? Will your mind be your ally or your enemy? Will it lift you or limit you? Because once you realize that your mindset is the filter through which you experience everything, you begin to understand that strengthening it isn't optional, it's essential. And the most powerful part, you're in control of it. You get to shape your thoughts. You get to decide your beliefs. You get to build that foundation every single day, because a strong mind isn't just the start of a strong life. It is the strong life. Everything else is built on top of that. We live in a culture that often avoids discomfort. We scroll past pain, look for shortcuts, and search for ways to make things easier, faster, and more convenient. But the truth is, nothing of real value, nothing that lasts, nothing that shapes us, comes without struggle, strength, especially mental. Strength isn't something we're born with. It's something we earn, and we earn it through experience, through setbacks, through the hard moments we didn't ask for but had to face anyway. You don't become mentally strong by reading a quote or watching a motivational video. You become mentally strong by going through something that forces you to dig deep and find something inside yourself you didn't know was there. It could be heartbreak, failure, rejection, loss, fear, those moments we wish we could skip. but they are the very moments that build us, shape us, and reveal to us what we're truly made of. Think about it. When have you grown the most in life? It's probably not the times when everything was smooth. Growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens in the tension, in the friction, in the moments when you had every reason to give up, but somehow you didn't. That's the gym for your mind, just like muscles only grow under pressure, under resistance. Your mindset only becomes stronger when you push it beyond what's easy. Too often, we're taught that struggle is a sign of weakness, that if we're struggling, something must be wrong, but it's actually the opposite. Struggle is the evidence that we're in the process of becoming stronger. It's not weakness, it's training. Every time you go through something difficult and come out the other side, you've gained something that can't be taken away: experience, perspective, resilience, and here's the part we forget. Mental strength isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's not about suppressing emotion or being tough in a way that hides your truth. Real mental strength is the ability to feel fully and keep going, to be honest about your pain but not let it define you, to fall apart and still choose to stand up again. Some of the most powerful people in history, the ones who have inspired millions, weren't immune to hardship. In fact, they faced more of it than most, but they allowed their struggles to refine them, not reduce them. They didn't just go through the storm, they grew through it. And because of that, their strength didn't come off as arrogance. It came from authenticity. So many people want to be mentally strong, but they don't want to go through what it takes to build that strength. But you can't have one without the other. The fire is what tempers the steel. The pressure is what creates the diamond. You have to earn that strength through lived experience. When you shift your mindset and start seeing struggle as an opportunity instead of a setback, everything changes. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That shift right there is the beginning of mental toughness. That's where confidence comes from. Not from everything going right, but from knowing that even when things go wrong, you'll find a way to rise. In the end, the goal isn't to avoid struggle. The goal is to grow strong enough to face it with open eyes and an open heart. That's where real power lies, not in perfection, but in persistence, not in comfort, but in character. And every time you embrace the challenge instead of avoiding it, you're building something unshakable inside yourself, because the struggle is not the end of road, it's the path to becoming someone you're proud of. Fear is part of the human experience. It's not a flaw, it's not a weakness, it's a signal, one that has evolved to protect us, but somewhere along the way we began to misunderstand it. We started believing that feeling fear means we're not ready, not capable, not enough, and so we try to avoid it. We run from it. We wait until it goes away before we act, and as a result, we spend our lives stuck, waiting for courage to magically appear, waiting for certainty before taking the next step. But the truth is, certainty is a myth. Fear doesn't disappear just because you're on the right path. In fact, fear often shows up when you're about to do something meaningful, when you're stepping into growth, stepping outside of your comfort zone. That's when fear has the loudest voice, and that's not a sign to stop. That's a sign to keep going. A strong mind doesn't wait for fear to vanish. It moves forward with the fear. It learns to coexist with uncertainty instead of trying to eliminate it. It understands that bravery isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to keep walking even when your knees are shaking. Real strength is built in those moments when you choose to act not because you're fearless, but because your purpose is bigger than your doubt. We admire courage in others. We celebrate it in movies, in sports, in history. But what we often miss is that those acts of courage didn't come from people who felt invincible. They came from people who were afraid and still chose to show up. They had strong minds not because they were superhuman, but because they refused to let fear dictate the direction of their lives. Fear will always be part of the journey, but it doesn't have to be in the driver's seat. When you develop a strong mind, you learn how to acknowledge fear without surrendering to it. You get good at hearing that inner voice that says, "What if I fail?" and responding with, "But what if I grow?" That shift, choosing curiosity over control, growth over safety, is what transforms the way you experience life. Uncertainty, too, is not something to run from. It's where all possibility lives. If everything were certain, there would be no room for discovery, for innovation, for surprise. Think About it, the most exciting chapters of your life probably began with uncertainty. You didn't know how it would all turn out, but you moved forward anyway. That's strength. That's a trained mind at work. Strong-minded people don't fake confidence, they cultivate it. They do the hard internal work of preparing themselves mentally and emotionally so that when fear inevitably arises, they don't freeze. They flow. They keep momentum, not because they have all the answers, but because they trust their ability to figure things out along the way. You don't overcome fear by pretending it's not there. You overcome it by proving to yourself, through action, that you can handle what it brings. Every step you take in the face of fear reinforces the belief that you are capable, and over time, that belief becomes your new baseline. You start to look at fear not as a barrier, but as a compass. It points to the places where you have the most to gain. Fear is not the enemy, it's a mirror. It shows you what matters, and a strong mind doesn't shut its eyes to fear. It meets it, listens to it, and then walks through it. Because it knows what lies on the other side is not just success, but freedom. Freedom to live a life that's not controlled by doubt, but directed by courage. And that is where strength truly begins. We often talk about big dreams, about becoming stronger, better, more focused. But the truth is, none of that happens in a single leap. It happens in the small, often unglamorous, consistent actions we take every day. That's where resilience is built, not in the big moments, but in the ordinary ones. Mental strength isn't a switch you flip, it's a discipline, and like any form of discipline, it's built through repetition, through intentional habits, through doing the work even when no one is watching. Discipline isn't always exciting. In fact, most days it's kind of boring. It means waking up when you said you would, even when you're tired. It means putting in effort when motivation is nowhere to be found. It means choosing the hard thing, the thing that challenges you, over the easy escape. It's not dramatic, but it is powerful. We live in a world obsessed with instant results. We want to feel strong now, succeed now, win now. But mental resilience doesn't come from instant gratification. It comes from delayed gratification, from showing up for yourself again and again, long before the results appear. And sometimes they don't appear right away. That's where the real strength lies, in doing the right thing, even when it seems like it's not working. Because the truth is, discipline builds the kind of trust in yourself that can't be shaken. Every time you follow through on a promise you made to yourself, no matter how small, you're telling your mind, I can count on you. That internal trust is the foundation of resilience, because when life gets hard, and it will, it's not motivation that will carry you. It's your habits. It's the structure you've built through repetition and intention. It's the muscle memory of a mind trained to keep moving forward, even under pressure. The beauty of daily discipline is that it's completely within your control. You can't always control your environment, or the people around you, or the outcome of every situation, but you can control how you show up. You can control your effort, your attitude, your commitment. That's where real power comes from. Not from what happens to you, but from how you respond to it. And your response is shaped by your daily practice. Mental resilience is not about pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's not about being rigid or emotionless. It's about having the capacity to remain grounded when life is spinning. And that groundedness, that inner stillness, it comes from consistency, from waking up each day and choosing to strengthen your mind the way an athlete strengthens their body, through practice, through presence, through patience. It might look like journaling every morning. It might look like a walk when you'd rather scroll. It might look like saying no to things that drain you or saying yes to things that stretch you. Discipline isn't about perfection, it's about direction. It's about keeping your eyes on what matters most and structuring your day to align with that. The truth is, your future self is being shaped right now, not someday, not when it's convenient. Right now in your daily choices, your daily rituals, your daily mindset. That's the compound effect. That's the quiet work behind the scenes that no one sees. But one day, it becomes visible in how you carry yourself, in how you think, in how you handle stress, uncertainty, and setbacks. Discipline is the training ground for resilience. And resilience is what allows you to keep going, to rise again, to stay true to your values no matter the storm. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Build your strength in the daily moments, because every day is an opportunity to practice the person you're becoming. Comfort feels good. There's no denying that it's safe, it's familiar, it's predictable, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying moments of ease or peace. But when comfort becomes the goal rather than the reward, it slowly becomes a trap. It keeps us where we are, not because we're incapable of more, but because more often means facing the unknown, and the unknown is uncomfortable. A strong mind understands this. It doesn't chase comfort, it chases growth, because it knows that staying in the same place, doing the same things, thinking the same way, it might feel secure in the short term, but over time, it erodes our potential. It leaves us unfulfilled. It shrinks our world. Growth, on the other hand, is often messy. It's uncomfortable. It stretches us. But it's in that stretch, in that tension, where we evolve into who we're meant to become. Every meaningful change in your life has likely started with discomfort. Think about it. The first time you tried something new, took a risk, had a tough conversation, stepped away from something that wasn't serving you. None of that felt easy, but all of it helped you grow. Strong minds understand that discomfort is not a sign to stop. It's a sign you're entering new territory. It means you're moving towards something better. We've been conditioned to seek comfort as if it's the prize, but in reality, it's the challenge that builds us. Comfort doesn't teach you how to handle failure. It doesn't teach you how to bounce back. It doesn't teach you patience, resilience, or grit, but growth does. Every time you push yourself outside of what's familiar, whether it's waking up earlier, speaking up when you'd rather stay quiet, learning a new skill, or facing your fears, you're expanding your capacity. You're rewriting the limits of what you thought was possible for you. Strong minds seek out that process, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. They learn to see challenges as invitations to become stronger. They welcome feedback. They pursue learning. They question their own beliefs, their habits, their routines, and when something isn't working, they don't double down on comfort. They pivot, they adapt, they grow. It's not that strong-minded people don't feel discomfort. They feel it fully. They just don't let it stop them. They know that the pain of growth is temporary, but the regret of staying stuck can last a lifetime. They would rather face short-term discomfort in service of long-term fulfillment than enjoy short-term ease at the cost of their purpose. And the most beautiful thing, the more you choose growth, the more your comfort zone expands. Things that once felt intimidating begin to feel natural. What used to scare you starts to excite you. That's how confidence is built, not by avoiding discomfort, but by walking through it until it no longer controls you. This mindset becomes a habit. It becomes a way of living. You stop asking, what's the easiest option? And start asking, what will help me grow? That shift alone can change your life. Because growth doesn't just make you better at what you do, it changes who you are. It makes you more open, more capable, more alive. Comfort can be a place you rest, but it should never be the place you live. Because life isn't about staying safe, it's about becoming. It's about discovering how far you can go when you stop shrinking to fit your comfort zone and start rising to meet your potential. So lean into the challenge, let it stretch you, let it shape you. Because every step outside your comfort zone is a step toward the life you're meant to live.